Hello, everybody, and welcome to Civ House. I'm Rob, he's Connor, and today we have a new discussion for you guys. We're going to be talking about the Exploration Age and how we feel that there are some serious changes that need to be made to the point where we're going to call this one How to Fix the Exploration Age. Yeah, we hope that you guys will kind of join us in this discussion. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think the Exploration Age is great and you love it and there's nothing that should be changed? Do you think it's even worse than what we're about to talk about? What changes would you make? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, if you are new here, make sure to subscribe as we're putting out Civilization content, Civ 7 content specifically, almost every single day. And make sure to like if you end up enjoying this video, as it helps the algorithm and it helps us out a lot. And we want to keep growing this channel so that we can all hang out and talk with you guys. A lot of good stuff going today, Connor. How are you doing? Where do you want to start with this conversation?
Yeah, doing good, Rob. Been playing a lot more Civ actually in the last few days, so getting able to just kind of dive back in has been fun. Life's just been busy, little vacation, other things coming up, but been able to play a lot more in recent nights, and it's been really good to kind of get back into the rhythm of playing the game. But as I've been playing a little bit more, yeah, like you mentioned, I've been playing some more through the Exploration Age, probably more than I ever have, and every time I'm in that age, there's just something about it that I just am unsure about, and maybe it's just that I'm a bad Civ player, honestly. Who knows? Could be. But there's just something about the age that always feels like it's off. You know, whether it's certain mechanics not working, not really understanding what the point of one aspect or another is. It just doesn't feel, especially when you're coming out of the Antiquity Age, it doesn't feel near as cohesive and near as put together and complete. And I just typically just enjoy it less. So that was, I think you and I share this sentiment, and so it's like, let's talk about this. Maybe we're the only ones that feel this way. Maybe we're not. I don't see a ton of just Reddit threads or anything like that about just hating on this age, so I just figured we'd talk about it, see what the community thinks. But yeah, so I think, again, today's discussion, as Rob said, is how can Civ 7 fix the Exploration Age? And I think that question implies that it needs fixing, which I think is the case. So Rob, I don't know if we want to just start off with each of our main points and kind of deviate from there, or how you want to go about this, but yeah.
Well, I think maybe we start with just kind of what we don't like about it, and then maybe go into the changes. And I'll start with one of the big things that I have a problem with right now, which is I love the idea of finding a new land and going and checking that out. But in most of my games, I've had a problem with actually finding an area to settle in and get treasure fleets going and stuff like that. And so playing through like multiple legacy paths can be, I don't know, it can be difficult, and it requires you to go over and actually start, you know, like taking out cities and all this other stuff that it's like, well, I've got wars going on my main land as well. And so there's just a lot of things like that. And then also religion feels horrible in this game. We'll probably make a video about what needs to change for religion as well. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, a little under the weather. But, yeah, I just, those are my two big ones, to be honest with you. And then I guess my third one, and I think it's something that I'm going to harp on pretty extensively, is the Exploration Age is unique. It's interesting, but it feels like it skips over a really important part of history in a time period that I think may deserve its own age. I've seen people really hate on me for this one in the comments, but I am going to talk about that today and kind of how I would flesh that out. But those are my big issues with it, Connor. What about you?
Yeah, and I'll you mentioned one of my my main point for today, so I'll kind of lead into that after this. But I agree with you. I think the religion is underutilized, and just kind of the way that the units convert the urban and rural tiles is a bit confusing. And I don't love that you can just one turn have, you know, your, I don't know, I forget the unit name, whether it's missionary or whatever. Yeah. Your missionary can convert a tile, and then literally 100% of it is converted back next turn by another unit. It just kind of cheapens that unit to me. It's really hard to invest in that. And I get some of the buffs that religion provides, and they can be good, but yeah, it feels very incomplete. To your point, some other things, you know, with going and founding cities, can be also very frustrating if you are founding these cities on these islands, but you can't utilize the resources because they're not connected to your network. Yeah. And all of these just different things that just feel like it's punishing you for doing what you're supposed to do. Like I feel punished for utilizing religion because it doesn't feel like good value. I feel punished for settling on islands because I can't utilize the resources anyway. Not really, at least. And I extensively I feel this way. So my biggest qualm, though, is something that you actually mentioned, and that is I want to talk about treasure fleets in general. My whole point is about treasure fleets because I can't stand them. I have played a game recently where I don't know if this was on stream with my Let's Play or not. I don't think it was. Maybe it was, though. Where I finished an exploration age, and I was the only civ in the game with points on the economic legacy path for the exploration age. I was the only civ that got treasure fleets, and I only had like 4 out of the 30 or whatever that you need to get, the completion of that age. So I think Civ 7 developers need to overhaul and rework treasure fleets, and I have some ideas for them of how they can do it. So I'm going to pitch those to you, Rob. We'll see if you like them. You haven't heard any of these before, so
I'm intrigued, to say the least.
Number 1 is I think there needs to be a ton more treasure fleets. I think you should get a treasure fleet that spawns when you settle on a distant land, period. The idea being, even if there's not resources there, those people are still finding whatever in that new land, and they're going to bring it home if they're able to get the ship back. I'm fine with the ship returning to the harbor kind of idea. I think there could be bonuses to that if you settle on an area that has this kind of treasure fleet resources. They can keep those in the game if they want. But the biggest change I want to make with this is I think in the exploration age, in addition to independent powers, there should be ships that roam the seas, and they are carrying treasure. And you have the opportunity to play as a pirate and send your navy out into the open ocean and just attack ships, steal their treasure, plunder. You could call it like a plundering mechanic. Steal their treasure, bring it back. And that way, if you don't want, let's say you're playing Mongolia, and you do not want to go out and found settlements and get treasure fleets and all this kind of stuff, you can simply go attack ships in the open ocean, bring back treasure, and kind of like fight against, even not even other, players in the game, but the independent power NPCs. I think that would completely change, and in a really good way. It somewhat militarizes the economy path, which I know may be a little bit counterintuitive to how that path is supposed to play, but it just feels like that would offer players a way more exciting and different avenue to get treasure fleets than just having to settle on islands. Or at least have some way where you can send maybe a certain unit around coastal tiles and like have it scooping up treasure, like almost like how the prospector works in the modern age, where that unit can settle on a resource tile outside of your city limit, snag that resource tile for you. Why can't we have like a treasure hunter unit in the exploration age that does the exact same thing? They can just roam the map, kind of claim treasures as they go along, and as long as they can get back home, you kind of get to claim everything in that unit. And then that unit, the more treasure it picks up, let's say it like has 10 treasures on it at that point, and another player plundered it and kind of started a war with you, they get to take those treasure points, would be my idea. So again, it's kind of like that risk reward of, okay, I'm going to keep my unit out there with 5 treasure points on it, risking, it getting plundered, losing all of them because I want to keep going for more and more and more, right? Like, because I need 7 to complete the pass, so I need to get to 7 kind of idea. So those are the 3 biggest changes. So settlers immediately get treasure points, add NPC units with treasure, treasures on them that you can plunder, and then have a new unit called a treasure hunter that can go scoop up treasure around the map. I think if those 3 things were added, I would have a ton more fun with the economic legacy path in the exploration age. But that's my big spiel, Rob. Interested in your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do not love treasure fleets either. I don't think that they are all that fun right now. I don't love that it's like this weird mini game that you have to play right now if you want to kind of go down that path. Because, like, again, I like economics in this game. Like, in general, I've always liked that, and it just isn't a very satisfying thing. Like, I like the idea of gathering resources and being able to bring them home. I think that makes sense, but right now, yeah, it just doesn't feel great. And I think, to your point, there was a leak that there are potential pirates and different people who will be coming to the game. So maybe they're going to add that portion to the game and make that an integral part, or maybe it's just like you can play on the pirate mode when you play, maybe just a specific exploration path or exploration age game, right? That's possible too. But I agree with you. I think that something in that regard has to change. It's really unfun to me. Like, I get what they're trying to do. Like, what is so sad is it's like, I get what they are trying to do, but it's like, it turns the game from being this kind of sandbox, create your own sort of thing into like, well, I'm going to lose automatically if I can't get these treasure fleets, right? And so, if you're an economic civ. And so it just makes it like, yes, you have to kind of, then make a new strategy and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's just, I don't know. Something like that has to change. Like, there needs to be like some sort of pirating system, or maybe you can even steal other units that you're at war with. Like, if you plunder their treasure fleet, then you are able to get, some of those resources for a certain amount of time. Like, there just has to be something that changes with that, because I never felt like the economy needed this much of a boosting, to be honest with you, in Civ games. Like, I was fine with the way it was in Civ 6 and Civ 5. And I feel like even the resources, there just needs to be more. Like, it's like chocolate, tea, sugar. Okay, that's great. But like, in my most recent Let's Play, you can see me struggling to even find a place to get those items, and then I have to get so many of those fleets back for it to even start counting. And it's like, I'm gonna have to go in, take over an independent power, and then I have to start shipping it down the river, which is fine. Like, that feels realistic to a certain degree. But like, Xerxes and frickin' Jose Rizal have the entire coast, basically bunkered off for me, so that I can't even get in. Basically, I had to settle on a tile that I was able to find 3 resources, Connor, but none of them were treasure fleets. And it was like, what is going on right now? I get it. Like, there's more and there's other opportunities, but it just feels like the game then takes you away from everything that you've built up in that, initial stage of the game. And I like it and hate it at the same time. It's tough.
Yeah, it certainly puts a huge impetus on having coastal cities and just kind of operating your whole civ out of the coast, which I'm fine with if there's more than the one way to get treasure. Again, if there are like, if they threw in all my suggestions or something, right, I would be fine to like really invest in the coast in the exploration age, because I know there's gonna be a lot for me to do. But some games there's just not. Like, I've in my Let's Play, similarly, like, I moved my capital to the coast. I had a whole string of islands just to the east of me, and I founded like 4 settlements on them. I think in those 4 settlements along all these islands that stretched almost the length of the map, I think I got 3 treasure points. And like that, I felt like I was doing exactly what I was supposed to. I did my job. I did what the game seems to want, and I didn't get any reward from it. I got 0 economic points in that age, and now I'm just full science in the modern age. It's like it was a waste of time to even found those cities, maybe. So I'm going to use them for factory tiles in the modern age, and like you get the oil, all that stuff, blah blah blah. But yeah, it like you said, I think using the term mini game is actually a pretty good way to describe this and how it feels. It just feels like I'm playing some kind of clunky mini game in the middle of the exploration age, and like science is so solid with like getting codices and doing those kinds of things. A lot of the other victory paths are just so understandable, and there's multiple ways to go about it, and it just is very clear. This just doesn't feel the same way. There just needs to be more avenues to get the treasure points.
Well, and they've made it clear that they're willing to change the legacy paths. They did it very recently, right, with the cultural path, I think it was, that got changed with the patch 1.1.0. So we'll see. There will probably be changes that will come with that next patch that's going to be coming here very shortly, Connor, with the next part of the DLC. So, yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. But I think I'll hop into mine, because I think you're going to have some thoughts on this. I know a lot of people do, like I said. Normally I'd be like, hey, let's change religion. That's going to be a whole separate video that I'm going to make, guys. I think religion needs a complete overhaul. So you can kind of figure that out on your own. I'll do a video on that, especially once I'm not feeling like crap. Honestly, that'll make it a little easier. But I really think that they're missing out on the medieval age. The medieval age is so important. It is so important to world history. There are so many things that, like, I love the idea of the exploration age, I think, is fine. And you could have the exploration age go for, I don't know, a certain, period of time, right? The modern age is only like 200 years, right? In all reality. So if the modern age can be that, antiquity age is obviously the longest, right? In like real world history,
yeah,
that's just how it goes. But the big thing for me is that the exploration age just kind of cuts out what I think is a really important time of history, right? And one that I think they try to make it fit into antiquity and a little bit into exploration age. And it just feels like we're just missing such a big part of this, Connor. And that's what my big problem is it just feels so jarring to jump into the exploration age feeling like you've skipped over hundreds of years of history in what I consider to be one of the better ages, if you want to call that, of the world, and one that, like, it feels like they could very easily split the civs up and make it okay. Like, you have an update called the medieval update, right, where you add, you move over like the Normans and a couple other civs into this age. You add a couple more, right, and then you add a couple more and you move over the other ones into the exploration age, right, like Hawaii or whoever, right? That's going to fit into that realm better. And that's my big problem with it, is it's just like when you're playing through Civ, and what I've loved about all the other games is that it really does feel like you're playing through history, right? You are playing through each age of the world, right? And I thought that they did a good job of this in Civ 6. And I understand there is a much harder way to do this, right? Because they are attaching civs to ages. I think that more specifically becomes the problem. But it's like, I almost want to like skip over like half of the exploration age, do that back half of it, and then head into the modern age. Like, the early part of it just doesn't sync well. And we already know that like age transitions and stuff kind of take us out of the game. Like, I see more and more posts all the time on Reddit that are, and Twitter even, that are like, yeah, like, we don't like, I was playing, I think I saw a post very recently, and if you watch this, great, let us know. We had somebody on Reddit who actually watched one of our videos and appreciated us giving them credit. I don't know who it is, so I'm sorry, I didn't look too much into it, but if you're watching this, you can tell us what you were saying. But they were like, hey, like, I sat down for a few hours of Civ, I was super into it, and then the age transition happened, and it took me out of the game completely, and I just stopped playing for the night. And it's like, yeah, that's good. Like, but like the whole one more turn philosophy, right, kind of goes out the door with this. And not only does the age transitions not feel great in general, but that's not what this video is about. But again, for me, it's very jarring to go from like antiquity into what the exploration age was, and what it feels like, like what the Renaissance realistically was, right? And so I just feel like they should split it up. I know this is a very unpopular opinion for a lot of people. They feel like, well, they can't even get these normal ages right. Why would you be asking for more? And we already know there's a fourth one coming, for after World War II, after the 1950s. I really think this game would do much better with 5 ages. I really fully believe that. And I can understand that they tried to simplify things, but this exploration age it's so jarringly different, and it just feels like you're missing out on such a big part of history that I think could be so much fun. And then you're doing all these mini games and everything. I think really maybe I just don't like the exploration age in general and would prefer another age to be there, but I'll let you talk on this because I feel like I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it's just like, it really is just such a loss for me.
It's one of those things with this age where there's just a general discontent where sometimes it's like when I'm trying to think of what a good example of this. It's like when something is just off in an image and you can't quite tell what it is, but you're like, this just doesn't look right. that's kind of how I think you and I feel about the exploration age. It's like there's nothing, inherently, I guess, bad with it. It's just everything is a little like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to your point, I think that I don't have a huge problem with the medieval idea because I agree with you. The medieval period, especially for like philosophy and the arts, is such an important time, even for like, military or like siege weaponry, castles, things like that. Like you mentioned the Normans. It's a very pivotal time. A lot happens, and we're kind of like simming through that.
Yep.
When we go from antiquity to exploration, it's like we simmed medieval, which is like crazy because it's like,
yeah,
that is a huge period in history. If we were to go full in on your idea, I'm trying to get there, and have 5 ages, the way age transitions work would have to fundamentally change. Because,
which they need to anyways.
Yes, I agree with you. This is another point I think you and I could spend a whole video on. But to the point of the Reddit thread you said, I have done the exact same thing, where I have played a really strong antiquity age. I just did this with Augustus and Carthage. And I finished the age, and I was like, oh, that was amazing. I kicked ass.
Felt great. Carthage
I absolutely, great. Oh, I felt amazing. I was like, I was in such a good spot. I had 10 settlements by the end of the age. I was like, yes, we're doing things. I go to exploration, I'm like, nah, I'm good for the night. I'm not going to pick my legacies right now. I don't mind doing that kind of stuff, but like my units are everywhere. I lost half my units magically. I don't like this. I'm done. And I quit playing for the night, and now I'm like not as jazzed about that save. And that is a feeling I feel like that is so common with Civ players right now. And it is mainly because of the way the age transition works.
Yeah.
I'm fine with getting experience. I'm fine with doing those things. Just leave me on the board and have the board not change so much. I guess it has to, because like they're loading all the new art style for the new tiles, and maybe there's like a loading screen we have to do, and that's okay. But yeah, I think if they could add medieval, do a postmodern age, then you smooth out age transitions. I think there's no problem having 5 ages at that point. If they tackle what I think is maybe the most underlying issue in the game, that being age transitions. I think it is we talk about it a lot, but I think we're even understating how problematic it can feel.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is just because this has never been a thing in a Civ game before, and you and I are just old heads and we're trying to adjust. But I don't know. It feels like a lot of the player base has this problem. And so, yeah, to your point, Rob, I am actually super down for this. It's arguably my favorite age in history. And so I would have no problem seeing it represented more in the game. But I think, sorry, I just hit my mic. If age transitions are left as they are now, I do think it would be too much age transitioning if we added in 5 ages. I said the word age like 20 times there, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, and I think that like for the exploration age too, like, because I know this is about fixing the exploration age, right? Mm-hmm. For me, the way they do that is they I feel like having that middle age, that medieval age, right, actually makes it so that then the exploration age feels better, because again, the idea behind getting on your ships, finding these new lands, and being able to settle them as the world actually was, right? Because the whole point is that you're creating an alternate reality Earth, right? That's essentially what you're doing in these games. Or Middle Earth, if you end up getting like a Lord of the Rings mod when it comes out, because it certainly will, right? Yeah. But there's just for me, it's just a struggle to kind of get into the exploration age. And I just feel like there needs to be more time, even as somebody who plays on the longest game modes possible in the game. Yeah. It's like I'm left wanting more. Maybe it's just because I think antiquity age, and I think maybe this will be my last point, Connor, because I know we're kind of running up on it time-wise. I think the antiquity age just feels so complete. It feels good. It really does. It feels like the most Civ part of the game, and I love the idea, and you and I both love the idea of kind of transitioning into a new civilization. That I think is absolutely fantastic, because it changes things up. It makes things very interesting during those time periods. I like earning points and trying to get new mementos and all of these things that come with it. And I love the idea of feeling like I've finished a game. Potentially, I think I've maybe finished 1 or 2 games in my entire life of Civ, to be honest with you. And that's okay. Like, I like this idea of, hey, I finished an age, so I basically finished a game. But it's just like, I want the ability as well for it to feel like I'm playing a full playthrough of a game like the other Civilization games have been. And I think part of that for me is adding in that medieval age. And I think that would fix a lot of my issues with the exploration age, because then it's like, hey, I've got new, I feel like I'm transitioning through history at a good rate. Now, there are a lot of people, Connor, out there who don't care about that, which I understand that. For you guys, it's like, hey, this is a game where, I'm completing tasks, I'm building my empire out, but I'm doing it in a new way during this time period. And I would say to you, that is awesome. I'm glad that you enjoy that portion of it. But for me, as somebody who, one of my biggest draws has always been to kind of work my way through. And what I will say is I've always felt like this, if we want to call it exploration timeline, this area, right, has always felt pretty bad. To be honest with you, in like past Civ games, I love that they're putting such an emphasis on it. But the fact that it's just like a favorite DLC that one of the big devs came up with, years ago, and he decided to make it like a major portion of the game, just doesn't sit well with me. And it just makes the exploration age again just feels sporadic, incomplete, and disjointed is the way that I would say it. Whereas again, I feel like the modern age, for now, it's the least one that I've played, to be clear, but that one still feels better because it feels like I understand what's going on in that age. The transition feels pretty natural between exploration to modern, and it makes more sense to me. So
yeah, because
that's
yeah.
You go.
I think I agree with you. I think that in general, each age has, at least should have, a very distinct angle of what you're trying to do. Antiquity, you're kind of building the foundation. Exploration, you're expanding your horizons. Modern age, you finish the game. It just feels like point 1 and 3 are so much more emboldened and built out right now.
Yep.
That it does feel like the middle portion is just kind of left behind. So, so to recap, I want to change treasure fleets completely at a baseline level. Rob wants to add a 4th age, a medieval age, to help, add that piece to history, and also just to give us kind of a more natural transition to exploration.
Yep.
We both don't like religion. We both don't like the age transitions. Wah. But we want to hear what event. At the end of the day, we're just two people who love this game, play this game. We're very interested to hear what you all think as well. So absolutely feel free to hash it out in the comments. Let us know. We read every single comment that you all put on these videos, even if we don't respond to them all. We read every single one, and so we're actually working on next week some videos that have come just basically from the comments. So we're happy to come back to this conversation, or if you have other points that you want us to expand on, we're happy to do so. But again, open to your feedback. Hopefully some changes come to this age, but at the end of the day, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. So thank you all, as always, for tuning in to our Civ discussions. We appreciate it. We'll come back with another one of these next week. We've got some fun topics lined out for the next few weeks. Rob, any closing thoughts from you before we close it out?
Give me the medieval age. I want it bad. I want it real
Fair
bad.
enough.
I want more knights and stuff. Like, I know you get them in the exploration age, but I want it to be a central focus. I mean, come on. We can't even do the Crusades because religion doesn't work, and it's part of the exploration age, which doesn't even make sense. Like, why am I going out getting treasure fleets when I'm supposed to be, going out and trying to save the Holy Lands? Like, come on. Like, it's just...
Let us save the Holy Lands. Let us pillage. Let us be Vikings. Let us be pirates. Come on. That's where the fun is.
And let's be real. Religion would make more sense to start in the medieval age than it would during the exploration age anyways. So, and maybe that could fix religion too. Again, whole other video.
Anyway,
I digress.
Yeah, agreed. I'm absolutely with you on religion. But as always, again, we appreciate all the support in the videos. We've got a lot more coming out. Next week will be a banger week for us. We've got a lot planned. Rob's been sick. I've been out of town. So we're coming back in full force next week.
Big time.
But as always, again, we thank you all for tuning in. And from our house to yours, we'll see you next time for one more turn. Thanks for watching.